The sky is the color of old bruises. Below, Berlin burns in slow, choking breaths, its streets split open like broken ribs. Roofs collapse inward, exhaling centuries of dust. And the air smells of wet brick, cordite, and something sweeter, burnt sugar from a bakery that no longer exists. Firelight trembles against shattered windows, and every glass shard becomes a tiny mirror, reflecting a war that no longer knows how to end. The paratrooper is still falling. Canvas straps bite into his shoulders. The harness creaks. Wind howls past his ears like a wounded animal. Somewhere above him, another chute snaps open with a violent crack, and a dark shape jerks against the clouds. Another man. Another heartbeat gambling against gravity. Below, anti-aircraft guns hammer upward in blind fury. Red streaks climb toward him, hot fingers trying to touch the sky. His hands clutch the lines, knuckles pale, leather gloves damp with sweat that doesn't feel like his own. Around his neck hangs a small dented locket. Inside, a faded photograph of a girl with serious eyes and a crooked smile. He presses it to his lips, a silent prayer no priest taught him. Dear Mother, if I reach the ground, I will write you again. But he doesn't know if the ground will welcome him or swallow him whole. He tastes smoke on his tongue, ash, fear. The city rises fast now, jagged rooftops, twisted antennas, a cathedral with half a spine. Somewhere in that chaos there are men waiting with rifles, children hiding in cellars, women whispering names that are not his. And yet, there is also silence between the explosions, a strange, holy stillness, as if the earth itself is holding its breath, waiting to see whether he will land as a man, or disappear into its sorrow. He closes his eyes. Berlin opens its arms. He hits the ground hard, the impact shattering the breath in his lungs like thin glass. Pain blooms up his legs, white hot, but he bites back the scream. The boulevard beneath him is no longer a road, only a graveyard of stone, tangled iron, and footsteps that have forgotten where they were going. His parachute collapses around him like a fallen ghost. He's breathing in cement dust and smoke, coughing, choking on the city's last sigh. His knife flashes out. The canvas falls away in frantic ribbons. Somewhere nearby, a woman cries. Not loudly, not for help. It is a small, broken sound, like an animal realizing winter has come too early. He freezes. The propaganda films flood back into his mind. Stern-faced Germans, ruthless eyes, monsters in human skin. He has watched them on flickering screens, believed them, prepared himself to hate them. But what he hears now does not sound like a monster. He rises, knees trembling, rifle held tight against his chest. Every step he takes is an act of defiance against gravity, against fear, against fate itself. Rubble crunches under his boots like brittle bones. A shattered tram lies on its side. Inside, frozen statues of ordinary life. An old man's cane. A child's shoe, a bag of potatoes split open, pale and soft like exposed hearts. His breath comes out in clouds. April, but winter still clings to the streets. On a wall, a peeling poster still clings with stubborn loyalty. A smiling soldier. Bold letters promising victory. Someone has scratched out the word Sieg with a trembling hand. Underneath, another has written Genug. Enough. He walks through corridors of ruin. Graffiti of desperation and prayer. Names. Dates. Pleas to God. He reads them as if they are handwritten confessions. And suddenly he does not feel like a warrior. He feels like an intruder in a cathedral of grief. Somewhere ahead, boots echo. Voices, harsh, urgent. His fingers tighten on the trigger. The voices grow clearer. Not orders barked by officers. Not the cold precision of trained men, but frightened fragments, splintered by exhaustion. Nicht schießen, bitte! Don't shoot, please. His breath stumbles in his throat. From the shadow of a collapsed doorway, a figure steps forward. Then another. They are not the tall, armored silhouettes carved by propaganda. They are young. Too young. A boy with soot-smeared cheeks and a helmet dented like a crushed can. Beside him, an older man whose uniform hangs like borrowed skin from his bones, hands raised, palms trembling in the gray air. The paratrooper raises his rifle in reflex. His heart pounds against his ribs, commanding him to survive, to fire, to be the soldier the war has made him. But their eyes do not hold hatred. They hold the same terror that lives in his own body. A gust of wind pushes ash between them like falling snow. It settles on their shoulders, in their hair, across the barrel of his weapon, covering all of them in the same pale, anonymous dust. Slowly, impossibly, the older man steps closer. From his pocket he pulls out a small, battered bar of soap, white, cracked around the edges, still faintly scented as if remembering flowers from another life. He extends it like a peace offering. For a heartbeat, the world is quiet. The paratrooper stares at it, confused. Soap, here? In a city that bleeds? It is as if he has been handed a piece of another world, one that still bathes, still believes in softness, still remembers what it means to clean hands instead of stain them. His fingers shake as he lowers his rifle. Their gazes lock. Enemy, other, human. A realization coils through him, slow and unbearable. This is not what they told me. And somewhere, deep in the ruins of Berlin, the first wall inside him begins to crack. They lead him, slowly, cautiously, not as a prisoner, not as a guest, but as something newly unnamed, through a corridor carved from rubble, down into what used to be a wine cellar. The air is cool there, damp with earth and mold, and yet it smells faintly of yeast. Bread, real bread. On a wooden crate, split like a coffin lid, rests a coarse brown loaf. Rough, uneven, beautiful. His mouth waters before he has time to feel. Ashamed of it. Hunger has a voice louder than patriotism. The boy breaks the loaf in half with fingers that tremble as much as his own. The sound is soft, almost tender. Steam exhales from its heart, warm as breath against winter skin. For a moment no one moves. Then the boy pushes a piece toward him. Simple, certain, a silent sentence. You are human. You must eat. He takes it. The crust is hard beneath his palm, the inside impossibly soft. He chews and taste explodes across his tongue. Salt, earth, memory. It is the taste of fields he has never seen, of mothers he has never known. It is the taste of life before uniforms. He almost weeps. Above them, the war continues. The ceiling trembles with distant artillery. Dust drifts like slow snowfall. A brick falls somewhere and shatters. No one flinches. They are too busy remembering what it feels like to be alive. Later he will write, "Today I broke bread with the enemy, and it did not taste like betrayal. It tasted like forgiveness." A woman passes the doorway carrying a tin cup of water. Her eyes meet his only for a second, startled, curious, then softly relieved. She does not look at him as an invader. She looks at him as a boy lost in the wrong place at the end of the world. And somewhere, beneath layers of training and order, something warm and dangerous begins to return. Compassion. Night arrives without announcement. In the cellar, shadows stretch long fingers along the walls, touching every crack, every scar the city cannot hide. A single candle burns on the crate, its flame trembling like a frightened heart. In its light, the boy removes his helmet. His hair is thin, almost colorless, and clings to his skull with sweat and dust. He cannot be more than 16. "Carl," he says, pressing a hand to his chest. The paratrooper hesitates. Names have always been dangerous in war. Names make faces permanent. James. The word feels strange in his mouth, as if he has not spoken it in years. Carl nods once, as if committing it to memory. Outside, a tank roars, followed by the scream of metal tearing open. The world above them is still killing, still demanding loyalty, still choosing sides. Yet in this quiet, damp pocket of darkness, those words, Carl, James, hang like a tiny, fragile truce. From his satchel, James pulls out a crumpled letter. It is stained, softened by rain and blood, and too many nights folded open. He has read it so many times that parts have faded, but he can still see his mother's handwriting, thin and slanted with worry. "The apples bloomed early this spring. I wish you were here to see them." He closes his eyes, and for a second the cellar is an orchard. Leaves glow green above him. Sunlight filters down instead of dust. Carl watches his face, understanding without translation. "The radio?" Carl murmurs in broken English. "They say, Americans are devils, monsters." James almost laughs. The sound catches somewhere between a sob and a ghost. "And they tell us you are beasts." A silence settles between them, heavy, thoughtful. It is the most honest thing that has existed in this city for a long time. "Are you?" Carl asks. James looks at his hands. They are steady now. Still holding bread. Still whole. "I was," he whispers. "I don't know what I am anymore." And the realization is terrifying. Not the bombs, not the enemy, but the slow, gentle collapse of everything he has been told to believe. Dawn does not arrive with light. It arrives with silence. The shelling that has screamed through the city for days finally chokes on its own ashes. When James climbs the cellar steps, the air outside feels different, thin, brittle, as if history itself is holding its breath. Berlin is no longer fighting. Berlin is bleeding out. Carl stands beside him, squinting at a sky washed pale and empty, like a page that has forgotten what to write. Somewhere in the distance, a white cloth flutters from a broken window, then another, and then another, until the ruined streets bloom with surrender. James does not feel victorious. He feels hollow. All around them, soldiers drop their weapons, as if releasing burdens too heavy to carry another second. A woman kneels in the rubble and presses her forehead to the ground. A man whispers a prayer that barely rises above the dust. James touches the locket at his neck. The girl's smile feels unreal now, like a story told to another lifetime. In his pocket, he finds the smallest crumb of the bread Carl gave him. He does not eat it. He holds it instead between his fingers, as if it is made of gold rather than grain. Dear Mother, he imagines writing. Words forming in his mind. The war ended not with glory, but with a piece of bread in an enemy's hand. Carl looks at him. There is no uniform in his eyes now. No country, no command. Only a human being standing at the edge of a broken world. What happens now? Carl asks. James looks across the city that was once a capital, now a cemetery of ideas and dreams. I think, he says quietly, now we learn how to live again. The wind moves through the empty streets, lifting ash into the air like pale butterflies. And for the first time since he fell from the sky, James does not feel like a soldier. He feels like a survivor. And in the ruins of Berlin, where everything false has burned away, something fragile and terrifying and beautiful begins to grow. Truth.